Welcome.
You guys have no idea how long I've had this wig. How long this has been sitting in a clear box in my storage unit and now in my closet. The last time I wore this wig was in 2016 when I dressed up as Trevor Phillips from GTA 5, or should I say Trisha Phillips. However, that is not where it ends. I have worn this wig as the ninth and as well as the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who back in 2014. So I've had this wig for quite some time. And the only reason why I am wearing this is because it gives me an opportunity to have David Tennant hair, which is kind of deflated now. David Tennant hair for a little bit because it's all, I love it. Hi guys, it's me, Lena Carraz, aka Blondie, and you're watching the B word. And no, it doesn't mean bitch, but I can be one very, very quickly. Now, you may be wondering, why is Lena dressed up today as a character that I might recognize, but at the same time, I kind of don't. If you were a kid from the 90s, if you grew up in the 90s, or you had the experience to live through the 90s, you would know a certain show starring two chipmunks named Chip and Dale, where they were a detective rescue service that would help not just animals but humans as well, called Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. It was part of the Disney afternoon hours, and it was one of the shows that I always looked forward to when I was out of school or on vacation to watch. And it was a show that I have such strong connections with because it was also a show that brought me and my mother together growing up. Long story short, my mom passed away when I was 21 back in 2011, and cartoons itself was something that brought me and her together. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was one of those shows, and it also introduced to me a voice actor by the name of Jim Cummings. And I have always grown up hearing that voice every single time, and it always brought me back to my childhood with my mom. So I know this movie came out, okay, a month ago. Okay, and you're probably sitting there like, why are you reviewing a movie that just came out like a month ago? Because I had other things to do. I had no one to work with. I could have done the movie I could have reviewed the movie by myself, but I didn't want to. I wanted to talk to somebody revolving around this movie. I know I could have reached out to a lot of other people, but I just didn't know where people's schedules are at. And a lot of my friends are all on the East Coast, so it's like really hard to get in contact with a lot of my friends because they have their own lives. A lot of them are 3 hours ahead of me. I said, you know what? Let's just do it today. Let's just do it. Let's just talk about Rescue Rangers now. So, without further ado, let's just go watch this review real quick, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Don't forget it. All right, so without further ado, here is once again, everyone knows him because he's always on my channel, CJ from Cjack Production. Hey, how are you?
I am doing dandy.
That is awesome. And I see you're back in the studio.
You know what? I had to. Yeah, I'm here back and forth, and I'll be relocating this bad boy just in a transitional period. But yes, much needed. Had to do that.
Yeah, I know we're a little late on the review. I know it came out in May, right? Yeah, it came out in May.
Yeah, it was May.
Yeah, it was May.
Not too bad.
It wasn't that bad, actually. Yeah. I am not going to do what I did for Doctor Strange, where I just told you the entire story. Because I eventually in my head was like getting kind of lost. Like, wait, I'm missing a lot of stuff here and there. But ironically, this past Wednesday, actually, Doctor Strange is now on Disney Plus, which was so weird. Um, we are actually going to be talking about the one show that I have a lot of like childhood memories from. I grew up in the 90s, and it's a show that was literally like introduced to me by my mother. My mother passed away when I was 21, and cartoons for me and her was our way of connecting. So Chip and Dale was one of my favorite cartoons that I used to watch as a kid growing up. And I cannot tell you how many times I would pretend to be one of the Rescue Rangers as a kid because
Aww.
I love the show. And obviously, we have the legendary Jim Cummings in this show as well. He was also the lead voice for Darkwing Duck in the Darkwing Duck series. as well as a lot of other shows, which we're not going to talk about cartoons right now because I will go on and on about cartoons. So,
Well, you're a huge fan of his work anyway. Yeah.
I am. So anyway, this movie has been
Voice.
was announced like way back, I think in 2017, 2018, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why are they going to do a not Dark and Duck, a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers film, okay? I was half expecting, because this is why I mentioned 2017, is that 2017 they rebooted, because Disney, for a lot, from what I've noticed, a lot of shows that Disney has produced, even Nickelodeon, they always try to reboot them or try to revamp them or try to do something with them or try to give shows that ended so suddenly some form of closure. So Disney in 2017 came out with the new style of DuckTales, which I fell in love with that show. That was one of my most favorite shows of all time. I watched the 1988 version, but I also did watch the 2017 version. Now, they did introduce Chip and Dale, the group Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, very briefly in one episode. Actually, no, I'm sorry, two episodes. And it was towards the end of the series. And they didn't have much lines. They were just obviously small little creatures that were shot with intelligent ray, and basically
Oh God.
that's how they did it. That's how they introduced it to us. So I was thinking like, okay, they're gonna probably give us something like that. That's kind of what they want to do for Darkwing Duck, for DW. They gave a soft reboot for Darkwing Duck. Everybody wanted a Darkwing Duck show. So going back, they announced that, hey, we're gonna do a Chip and Dale movie. So I thought, okay, that's gonna be kind of weird, because how can you do a movie on Chip and Dale? Like, I know they canceled it suddenly and they really didn't get much closure. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're gonna do some show or episode where they're just gonna give them some form of closure. Actually, no, they actually give you somewhat of two stories. The first story is kind of dropped completely. So it does talk about how Chip and Dale, and this is where I'm just like thinking they were brothers this entire time. Sorry, friends. They were best friends since elementary school. So I'm sitting here thinking like, so are you telling me that this entire time Chip and Dale are friends? They're best friends. They're not brothers. I thought they were brothers this entire time growing up.
I have conflicts on that. I accept both. I don't know why, but yeah, I really thought they were. Damn, that's tough, because you see my point. It's like I'm okay with them being brothers and friends.
Yeah.
You know, for once, I don't have a solid answer for you, but I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, growing up, I thought they were brothers. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. When they came up with the Rescue Rangers, me as a kid, I didn't get the references at all. That the way that Chip dressed was Indiana Jones, and then the way that Dale dresses was like Magnum PI. I got a little older when I started noticing that, so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool that they actually integrated like two different, one's an adventurer, one's a detective, into a series.
Mm-hmm.
That I love. But going back a little bit, when they said, yeah, they were friends, I was just like, okay, I can accept that. But I was just so, I guess it was,
I don't like it.
I get, no, it's more for me, it was just like, I guess I was conditioned into thinking they were brothers this entire time.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I don't have a problem with it. But I wish I knew what the label was. Well, no, I do. They're friends, but still, I'm surprised. I admit, I am surprised. I'm like, okay, it's like an answer to a riddle. Like, oh, it's like, oh, that's what I meant. You know?
Yeah. But Chip and Dale grew up in a small town. Chip and Dale actually did like what a lot of people do back during that time, during like the 70s and 80s. They would migrate from a small town from way off in the east to California to pursue a career in basically acting. And I just like the fact that they integrated a lot of different shows as well, like different styles of not to say cartoons, but also like TV shows back in the day, which I was laughing when I saw Full House in that whole mix.
Was hilarious.
That was funny. But then obviously they get their show and things just start taking a turn. They become very successful, obviously. And what I found interesting is that they mentioned about the 00 Dale show that he wanted to do, which was like a spin-off of James Bond.
let me hit you with that. Yeah, let me hit you with that for a minute. So he pulled the famous Hollywood you know what I mean? Like, well, dude, we have a good thing going. Chip was like, we have a good thing going. Don't sabotage it now. No, no. I think it's time for me to be more than a second banana. You can relate to his character.
You
Like,
can.
he doesn't want to be, it's like Batman and Robin. Robin wants to go off and do his own thing, which he did,
Yeah.
but staying on task. Yeah. And who can blame the guy? You can sympathize with him.
Yeah, that was the one thing that that's the reason why I always gravitated towards Dale. It was because he always was like in Chip's shadow every single time, and he wanted to shine a little bit.
Hmm.
And there are some. I do remember there were some episodes where you can see how like Dale is. He's like, oh, I come second to my to Dale every single time. No, sorry, Dale comes second to Chip every single time. Because I mean, like you'll see him fight over Gadget. There's also like though anytime there was a female counterpart, they always fought, but it was always like Chip would always usually sometimes get the girl, or vice versa. But for that scene alone was just kind of like, okay, I know what they're trying to build up to. Like, it's kind of obvious. It wasn't something you have to sit there like, what are they trying to go to? Like second banana, like the hell are you talking about? So years has
Right.
passed and all that. What I'm laughing about this because of the fact that we are just literally thrown into Comic Con,
Hmm.
and I just
It,
like I love the fact that
Go ahead.
no, I love the fact that Dale was trying to stay current and going to like this event with like autographs and everything, and you see characters that you weren't expecting, like Tigra from from Marvel. From I wasn't expecting to see her.
No, Tiger. What is that series from? The character design from Silverhawks. That Tiger. Sorry, there's two Tigers. There's no Tiger. There's Cheetah. Wait a minute. I was thinking Thundercats, but you're right. By Tiger from Marvel.
Yeah,
Then you saw Ugly Sonic, that was an urban. That was fucked up. That was an
that
urban thing that had to be done though.
it was.
They were like, dude, and they were straight up. Listen, they were straight up. You're right. They were straight up like, dude, you get a lot more of a turn out of Chip was here. What's going on with you
Yeah.
guys? You know, it's true.
It is. When I saw this movie and I saw Ugly Sonic, I was not expecting to, first I was not expecting to see this character at all. And then the second
Mhm.
question was, how the hell did Disney get away with this? Like, so I did so much research. They changed his appearance slightly to get him in the
Mhm.
movie.
Oh, is that how they did
They
it?
did it. So that's what I
That
noticed, that if
that
they don't have
smallest
the
detail.
smallest details, you can change. What it is if you want a character in a show or a movie, you
Okay.
can have them, but you can't have them look like themselves. You do an alteration.
Okay.
So that's how you get over
Or
the whole copyright.
you get over legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I saw, like I said, when I
Ah.
saw Ugly Sonic, I was just like, yo, that is fucking amazing. And the only thing that really made me feel uncomfortable was when he would say, "Oh yeah, I like doing it slow, baby."
He's,
The teeth.
yeah.
I
Oh my
was like,
god. That
"Oh,
was so
okay,
good.
thank God they changed it." Seeing that was the best part. Fun little fact, and there's actually like footage of it, and they released the person that was doing the animation for that entire scene, like one of the directors, stated that if
Mhm.
they couldn't get away with Ugly Sonic, they already had a backup to who was gonna sit right there. They were
I
gonna put in
bet.
Jar
I
Jar
no, I bet.
Binks.
Oh fuck. I mean, they own Star Wars. I
Yeah,
mean, that would have been easier, but
that
but
that
they
was
were
their
going for
thing. They were
hey.
like, "Oh, if we can't get away with this, we're gonna throw Jar Jar Binks." And they had a little like the storyboard breakdown and everything. And I was like, I would have
He was
still
on
watched
standby.
it. I still would have watched it, but
Why? Well, no, why? Like the Facebook meme. Why not both? But
yeah,
whatever.
why
Still.
not? I was expecting that. Like, why not both? You can put both in. Um, so Dale's trying to basically stay current with everything, kind of like maintain, because he's still. I feel like he was still stuck in like the whole mindset of back when he was super popular. He wanted to kind of stay current with, which a lot of actors do that when they go to these Comic Cons. Some who are not acting as much, others that are, but still.
Mhm.
Dale, on the other hand, goes into selling insurance, which that was like, wait, what? Okay, so I know that
Dude,
when we
he
were talking
completely
about
turned his
this,
back
you
on.
wanted to mention something about that portion of why he went into selling insurance instead.
I did, and it's like you go from this. he completely washed his hand, and he doesn't want to fall upon, I call it the Adam West curse,
Okay.
where you're known for one role, that kind of thing. And he that's one thing to try to actually expand. I was gonna say not Tobey Maguire. What's the name? The new Spider-Man, not Andrew Garfield.
Tom
No, the
Holland.
newest Tom Holland. Okay, he broke away and did Uncharted. Good move for him.
Yeah.
Bad movie, but good move for him. The point is, he's trying. Chip took a step further, dude. I'm done. I'm not doing all that. I just sell insurance. See you later, deuces. He just wants to call it one hit wonder. Just call it a day. Yeah, that's all I had on that. I was like, wow, this guy really fell off the grid.
Yeah. I I personally feel like with Dale, not yeah, Chip. I was saying Chip. I don't. Chip going into insurance. I just personally felt like he just wanted to play it safe. Like he went with the safest
Mm-hmm.
career he can think of, and that was sell insurance. And it was something that
Well,
it
if you think
was
about it, Dale.
going
No, real quick. If you think about it, Dale betrayed his trust, and I think that really torpedoed him going back into Hollywood.
pretty much. Because that's the reason why I feel like he just said, you know what, forget I'm taking the safe route. I'm not gonna go anywhere else. I'm just gonna stick it here and that's it because it's a lot easier. And obviously, yeah, going back is just the whole thing of I don't want to get hurt again. You know,
That was his own way of protecting himself, but he
pretty much.
he overcompensated that big time. And then look, in Dale, the 3D, the you taught me this, the 3D surgery. Like how some actors on Hollywood get a nose job, get a boob lift, whatever.
Yeah.
This dude went a complete 3D print.
Yeah.
Okay, and Chip was like, eh.
Like because the thing is like okay, I feel the reason why they did that is that you see Baloo. Okay, he started off as a cartoon,
Mhm.
and then he got 3D'd in the newer version. So it's like, oh, okay, so he got 3D.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What people also, and I'm going back a little bit, people were also pointing out why didn't Lumiere do the 3D treatment? Because they did Beauty and the Beast, and they gave him a 3D treatment. Why didn't he go 3D instead of back to 2D? Like that
No
was
idea.
like weird, and I go, you know what? That is so true. These guys are reunited because of one character, which I was kind of like, I always thought it was someone else that would do his voice, but they actually got a lot of the voice actors to take on their old roles again.
Mhm.
Monterey Jack basically calls him up, and Monterey Jack, I mean, let's just say it, he's a drug addict, but he's a cheese addict. Like you can see it.
Monterey Jack was every original, mind you, original Robert Downey Jr.,
Yes.
every Charlie Sheen, every what I'm saying, that guy.
Yeah.
So
No, and
just
I mean,
washed up, right?
out of all the characters, I always loved Monterey Jack because he was always the funniest one because obviously he has that cheese obsession. So when he smells the
Hmm.
slightest smell of cheese, it's just like you see him just flow and just go after it.
Right.
They're reunited because of him, because Monterey gets kidnapped, obviously, and Monterey, the reason why he gets kidnapped is because of the fact that he dealt with the wrong people from the wrong side of basically LA County. And I'm
Oh yeah,
just
you
like,
and Callie, you know these streets, right?
I know these streets. Um, so they basically team up. I love the fact that they also introduced like claymation, and claymation is another animation that's kind of like underappreciated because I mean, there's a lot of people that like Nightmare Before Christmas. That's all claymation. Okay, it's just that I like the fact that their like chief is like almost a knockoff version of Gumby. And
Right.
I like the fact they got J.K. Simmons to come in and voice his character because it was like a combination of Gumby and like Commissioner Gordon a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Or Georgia Jameson. Right.
Yeah, and it was just I was just like, man, they keep bringing him in because J.K. Simmons is not only like
It was
J.J.
hilarious.
He is. What was it? J.J. Oh man, Jameson or J.J.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
also
He was
if
like
I
a
mean
Spider-Man mystery scout kind of attitude.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched this series because, I mean, we're talking about cartoons. There's a series called Gravity Falls, and he's in it, but he's like towards the end, and it's really good. It's a really good series. There's references in it. People, don't worry. We're gonna be basically talking about all the Easter eggs that we found in this movie, and compare
Okay.
notes. So don't worry, we're gonna have it. We're introduced to him. We're also introduced to a young, ambitious detective that has a lot of self doubt in her because, I mean, the whole incident in Nickelodeon where all the cartoons basically revolted against them and started fighting back.
Yeah. She was a human that believed in animation. She wanted, to do her part, and she really loved Rescue Rangers growing up. It was legit, like she's a fangirl,
Yeah.
but yeah.
This, I feel like that was just their way of. I feel like also Dill did this on purpose too, because he wanted to kind of like, oh, let's solve the mystery of Monty's disappearance together. So they start working together. They
Yeah.
try to figure out where exactly. So they end up going to which this is like, and I know for a fact they had to film it in Disneyland. They Main Street, and
Oh, yeah.
that I was just sitting there. The moment I saw that whole street, I was like, "You guys filmed this on Main Street, USA in California in Disneyland."
This is you, flying slick.
I
Right.
said the whole time because every single time I saw it, I was just like, "Bro, I recognize this. I recognize this." I go, "Man, this is what happens when you live in California. You start recognizing the little things here and there." Um, I'm not gonna go. Like we're introduced so many times to like the classic, the traditional comic book strip cartoons. We're introduced to the old school from black and white all the way to color cartoons to now 3D to puppets. And
Yeah.
I love that. I was just like, I get it. They could have at least for that character alone, they could have at least got the chef from the Muppets to do that portion. Exactly. They could have. They could have. But I was just like, I like the fact they got Key and Michael Peden.
Yes, correct.
They
Yeah,
got him to
but
voice it at
and
first.
that was his voice, right?
That's him. I didn't know. It took
Yeah.
me a while because I was sitting there and I go,
Yeah.
which character was he? So when I went to go look it up, I saw he was the puppet. I was like, oh yo, that's pretty cool. Small role, but pretty cool. Shortly
Yeah,
after
it
we're
was
introduced.
it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh my god,
Sorry, it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit all over again.
it
I love
was.
this.
It was. We're slowly introduced to like different styles going down, but we're introduced to Sweet Pete, and
Mm-hmm.
I sat there. I was like, "Yo, what happened to Peter? Like, I used to like Peter Pan, but what
Right?
happened here?"
Wrong side of the tracks. He
Yeah,
was that true Hollywood story. Like,
but
Peter Pan, he was clean cut, you know what I'm saying? He was like, the boy, everybody loved him, right?
yep,
5 o'clock shadow, let himself go. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
The way I was looking at him, I was just like, he seriously looks like an Italian mafioso, some form of
Right.
mafioso that is just like, yo,
That
what's
mob
up?
life.
Yeah, mob life. But ironically, I actually shortly after this movie came out, I'm gonna put like a little pin here. It's a little history for you guys. If you guys can't pick up on a bit, I'm a big Disney fan. Unfortunately, I did tell this to CJ a while back, and I'm gonna tell you guys this. There was an actual story revolving around the person that played Peter Pan back in the 1950s. And unfortunately, which people were blaming Disney for this, it wasn't Disney because at that time he didn't really own the studio. It was the people that was like, you know how like you have like Warner Brothers and then you have the smaller ones, like the smaller studios.
Right.
So he was working under somebody else, and the problem is that the guy that owned the studio did not like Bobby. So they once Bobby got old enough, they got rid of him. They're like, yeah, we're done. And the sad thing is too is that the kid was in a lot of movies that most people kind of like didn't know. So for one, he was in Treasure Island, which was the original live action film that they did. He was a little boy. He was basically the main character in that movie. He was a little boy. He was also in the movie that has been banned and is something of Disney's dark history, The Song of the South, which inspired Splash Mountain. He was the little boy.
Right.
So
See?
once he
But they
got
didn't want to
older,
talk about that though.
yeah. So once he got older, he got fired, and he basically couldn't get any work because, kind of going back to what CJ says, that once you get typecasted, like you can't get any other roles. So he said, forget it. So he did get married. He had kids and everything, and by the age of 31, people thought he just fell off the face of the earth. There was a report, and this is when they put two and two together. They found his body in an abandoned warehouse. Two little boys were basically playing and went to the abandoned warehouse, which I'm like, kids, why do you guys go to abandoned warehouses? I don't understand you guys. Found a body just there, and they basically buried the body in a pauper's grave because they didn't know who it was. That's kind of what they did. So if they don't know who you are, they cannot find anybody that can identify your body, because if you have no identification on you, which when they found his body, obviously I feel like probably some pickpocketers pickpocketed his pocket, took all his money and his ID, and left him without no
Right.
identification. They will dump you in a pauper's grave, where
See?
it's an unmarked grave, unfortunately. Eventually, later on down the road, they figured that the person they found, that he died of a drug overdose, which I'm still trying to figure out how the hell they found out. It could have been family members probably started reporting him missing, and that's when like the kids are like, yeah, we found this guy. Oh shit. They try to find the grave, cannot find
Hmm.
him. So it's literally the way they have Sweet Pete's story is something of a similar to how Peter Pan, the child, the actor, his story somewhat basically being dropped because you grow up, and that was it. Yet here's the thing that I don't understand is that why is it that they had the first movie for Peter Pan? There's a second Peter Pan movie, by the way, that he was still current when the second movie came out. And that second movie came out, I think,
Right.
in the 2000s.
Okay.
So I was just like, I don't understand at all.
So you trash the character, bring him back, and then you know what I mean? It's like I don't understand. Yeah, I can co-sign where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. Oh god, the Seth Rogen character though, the which was supposed to be like a play on for like World of Warcraft, the dwarf.
Yes.
I loved
Right.
it, and I like the
And
fact that when they
when
went
he was
to when it was the area,
uh,
oh god, it's supposed to be Cynical Valley,
yeah,
and this is where
I know you're saying you're talking about too.
all the people, all the character, the Polar Express eyes. So I'm looking
Mhm.
at you, but I'm looking over here.
He was like, "Bro, you're not looking at me. Look at me." No, yes, I am. No, wait. He was like this. Yeah, I'm looking dead at you. No, you're not. I'm down here. I'm down here. No, you're not. I'm looking dead at you. I
My
was dead when I see. But that's what they looked like in the game. That's the
yeah,
problem. They were
that
not looking at you,
I
dude.
love the fact that when they went to do that whole portion, it was just like this is where the animation was just so weird, and I was just like, yeah, animation during that time was weird. Then they had like two cats in the alleyway fighting, and I was just like,
Right?
that was weird. I haven't watched Cats. I refuse to. But they do figure out that Sweet Pea is behind all this bootlegging and everything. That's the reason why I did not mention this. A lot of people are missing. A lot of characters are missing because Sweet Pea are just grabbing up people and bootlegging everything.
Yeah.
And they are trying to figure out like exactly as to why, which is profit. And he just says his whole thing, like his whole plot, like, hey, no, I'm kidnapping people, I am bootlegging them, and I'm putting that out there for you guys. So what are you gonna do about it?
She was like, "Take that."
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, here you go. And it's just like, oh, there goes the whole plot of the story. Cool. But no, just him giving out, like, most villains don't do that. You have to wait to find out the whole plot. He just like, here you go. Here you go. just take it. I don't care anymore.
Zero giving.
Yep.
Right.
And the funny thing is that it's Will Arnett. You can tell it's Will Arnett off the bat.
Oh, yes.
Like, I sat there, I was just like, he doesn't change his voice. He just, go in, like, here's your script. Will Arnett goes in, all right, here you go. And it does the voice, and it's like, all right, it's good. Sounds like Batman, sounds like BoJack, sounds like so many other characters that I know and love.
Right.
They do find where the whole warehouse is, because they do go to a which I'm still not a brothel. What the hell am I talking about? They go to a brothel.
No.
Oh, what a bathhouse.
Right.
That's what it's called. I was like, what the hell's it called? Because I know they don't have them at all anymore. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I think they probably have a few, but it's just exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a spa. Basically,
Unless you're in Tokyo or somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
Find out. Basically, try to figure out where to, the whole thing. They do find where it's at. They get what they need. Then you get a tracker, so they find out where the warehouse is at. Chip gets like Dale. Dale gets Chip, right? Chip. God damn it.
Yes,
Chip
Chip.
gets a A Snoopy
Blue
ear.
Pluto.
No, Snoopy
A
ear.
Snoopy ear. Yeah.
They kept calling it Snoopy ear. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
oh my god, you got a Snoopy ear.
That's true. You got a
Oh god.
Snoopy.
They go back to the station. You see a lot more characters there. They go to Comic-Con again for like another day. You have a lot of interactions in that one. We find out towards the end that the chief, which Dale was like, no, it has to be the chief and Sweet Pete working together. Chip is like, that's too
Da-da-da.
cliche. That's so like obvious. Why would it be the
It
chief?
worked. It worked.
It did. It's like, and I like this whole thing when they get basically they're all Chip and the young female detective is basically captured and all that. He was going back and forth, and he goes, "Oh my god, I can't believe it was the chief. How cliche!" And he goes, "Yeah, I know, right? But you can't like. But what I like I said, don't fix if it's not broken."
I
But
would have got away with it too. It wasn't failing kids.
the one thing that really drive me insane about this movie was the fact that they gave Gadget and Zipper such little to no screen time. Like towards the end is when you
I
see
don't know
them.
what that was.
Like
I love the fact that Zipper was your boy from the Allstate. Are you in good hands? The guy
exactly.
had the very white and little ass Zipper. That was funny. But no, Gadget should have had more. That was originally her, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
You know, and I don't understand it. There was
Because
no homage there.
I remember when I saw the trailer, and I kept telling people like, the trailer's one thing, and then the movie's another.
Mhm.
And I could understand that maybe it was scheduling conflicts that they couldn't really get her that long. They could have probably got her for like a couple hours, or because a lot of these voice actors have other projects they're doing. So for her, I mean,
True.
she may not be acting. I don't know. I have to check her. I have to check her out to see. I'll probably put like a little note
Is
here.
she actually actress or a voice? Is
Voice
she strictly a
actress.
voice actor or?
Voice actress.
Yeah.
That was the thing that just bothered me. It was just like, Gadget was such a huge character growing up for a lot of people. And a lot of people love her. But it was just like they just gave her such a small role. And then I feel like for her, I don't want to say they made her stupid, but I feel like they almost made her like one dimensional. Because it was just kind of like, yeah, like that character that I played is exactly how I am. Like, what a coincidence.
Yeah, because Monterey was washed up. It gave him more depth. I see what you're getting at, but he had a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
Monterey Jack had a lot of screen time. If you think about it, and then Gadget, I get that she settled down with Zipper, but she still could have had some more screen time.
She could have. She could have at
That's it.
least.
I was really,
Because, like, we find out that, like, towards the beginning of the film that Gadget and Zipper got married, which I personally always
still
saw, like, in
disturbing.
the show, it was always,
Yeah.
like, Chip and Dale fighting for her attention. But Zipper and Gadget, I was like, okay. And you see a picture of all the kids. I'm like, yo, there's some goofy ass kids. I mean, shit.
I'll repeat. That's still disturbing.
Yeah. But I like the fact you see like their copter, like their little flying, their little thing. You see
It's
that
still
again.
with the rescue blimp. I guess.
Called the rescue
Yeah, that's
plane,
still
something like that. And just seeing it in action was just like awesome. So yeah, Dale saves Chip and the detective. Pete turns into this whole abomination that I was just like, wow. Okay.
There were so many pieces on him. Those Octopus Prime's leg, the cat from the three sombreros, Donald Duck, and those two birds, whatever. There was so many attachments on him. An abomination. That's the word you want to use.
Abomination. But obviously, like every good story of where the hero comes out, the hero, Chip and Dale basically arrest Sweet Pete, the cat, the chief of police as well, and they get their whole thing. This is where I got to the point where I'm just kind of like, I forgot this whole plot that you see it in the beginning, but then they bring it right back and you find out like, why Chip didn't do anything about the whole friendship and everything. It's just like, oh, I wanted to be first banana, but I didn't want you to feel like you were second. And I kind of sat there and go,
the romance confession.
Yeah, like we already knew that you guys need each other. You guys cannot be Chip and no Dale, or Dale no Chip. Like you need to be together.
it's like when you have it's realistic because it's like especially guys, women don't do this typically anyway. Guys be like, no, I'm mad at you. I'm giving you the silent treatment for 5 years,
Yeah,
and for 5 years you're looking like a dumbass over something that you both could apologize and reconcile.
pretty
And
much.
that's all this was.
Yeah. And it was just an ego thing for them because, they want, because, like, I was going back. So, like, Chip wanted to continue on with the series. And then Dale was just like,
Hmm.
I don't want to be in your shadow anymore. So I'm going to go do this series that was not going to get off the
Hmm.
floor whatsoever. And yeah, but it's just like we already knew that these two need each other. Like we didn't need a whole sub, like a main plot of them fighting and not talking for like almost 10 plus years or 10 plus years. And
Yeah, the
I was
line.
just like, that is the biggest
Yeah,
grudge over what reason you guys couldn't tell each other the truth this entire time.
bruh, it was kind of petty.
It was.
But they walked into the sunset and they genuinely solved a case.
Exactly.
And Chip had more confidence. He was like, you know what? I could do this full time after all. And you know what I'm saying? And it's true.
Because I feel,
So
obviously, and then they get their reboot. They get to go on stage, which is that whole thing of Dale kept saying to Ugly Sonic, like, I'm gonna be up there one day. I'm gonna be up there where Baloo's at, and everyone's gonna be, seeing
mhm,
me and this and that. You see them at the very end, all of them together,
mhm.
and they get their spinoff. And I was just like, cool, 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 cool. Now, am I saying the movie was great? Not really. No, it was okay, but the nostalgia was there.
It was a good nostalgia trip though.
That's what it was. It was the nostalgia
You hear
trip.
me?
The
Yeah,
story itself,
yeah.
like, I mean, it's kind of like a cookie cutter storyline that a lot of people seem to think that it works. It works. I mean, don't fix what can't be broken, or what's not broken, just don't fix it. But the
Right.
nostalgia is just all there, you know. And
I agree.
there's like a lot of, for me, I sat down, I had to watch it 4 times. 4 times. Because when I watched it the first time,
Really?
I watched it 4 times because the first time I was watching the whole thing, kind of like watching like the story unfold, right? And then noticing like the different animations and all that.
Oh,
Because like I do like animation a lot. I One point in my life I want to be an animator. Then I realized I can't draw
there
for
was a lot
shit.
of studios involved in this.
No. The
Did you hear me?
second
There's a lot of
time,
studio involved in this. Yeah.
yeah, no, the second time I watched it was when I started trying to see if I can find what other Easter eggs, and the third time as well, and the fourth time, just to see what
Right.
else I can find. Because like I'll go on TikTok, people said, "Oh, I saw this, I saw that, I saw this," so I'll go back to see it again, and I'm like, "Okay, that is there," or "No, it's not there," or "No, that's not that character, it's this character." Easter egg time. We got to talk about that Easter egg. Well, sorry, CJ, go on and tell me about your review. I just like, how did you
My
feel
Easter
about?
eggs?
Huh?
In general, the
In
Easter eggs
general,
in general, or
in general, like,
I loved it. It was an acid trip. I needed to see every single one of those, especially Darkwing at the end. That
yes.
that was a super hint. Um, Transformers Blaster was in there clapping for Dale at the high school. I'm a Transformers fan.
Yeah.
I can go on for days on that.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like it was put on a perfect platform, just put it straight to streaming instead of releasing it. Because I mean, yeah, they would have made
I
some
agree.
money, but they would have not made enough money to break the bank. To break
No,
even. They
yeah,
wouldn't.
break even. No, I don't know what you mean. And it was a fun trip. It was like there was society was way overdue for a Who Framed Roger Rabbit situation. Like, and even in the very beginning, not to go backwards,
Mm-hmm.
Dale was going to school. The teachers are treating the cartoons like equals. Here's your lunch bag.
Yeah,
Interacting. But yeah, overall, it was a fun ride. That's exactly what it was. It was a
it
fun
was.
ride to put on Disney Plus, in
Now, quick
my
question
opinion.
for you is, do you feel like this movie is kind of like a good successor to Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, it's a good successor because yeah, people need to remember how hell Roger Rabbit was in it. They were poking fun at him. He was like Dale and I were dancing with Roger Rabbit. Him doing the Roger Rabbit.
Rabbit.
He had his own damn. It's homage. It needs to be remembered that way.
Yeah.
Kids aren't gonna remember that, but we were barely kids in the '80s when that came out.
Oh,
So it's a good. It was much needed. It was much needed.
for me, no, that I do. I actually do agree. It does pay massive homage to Roger Rabbit
Mhm.
because Roger Rabbit itself, like they have been trying to come up with another movie for Roger Rabbit, but there's this whole thing with Steven Spielberg not wanting to let them do any more of it. Basically, there's a whole thing about it. Because it's Steven Spielberg's property and everything. And long story short, they wanted to make another one. They wanted to either do a prequel to where Roger meets Jessica. Jessica's kidnapped by Nazis to basically do Nazi promotional film for them. And I was like, are we going to get a young Eddie Valiant? Because, I mean, the guy who plays him is dead. So they never specified. So I
That'd
was
be
kind
very
of
impressive.
like, okay. They dropped it. But I do think it does pay a lot of homage to that, and it does introduce to the younger generation of, hey, this is how you do a multiverse of madness,
Right.
not what Space Jam did. Because, like,
Right.
I mean, Space Jam, they tried it with the first one, which is just all Looney Tunes characters. And if you have ever
Mhm.
watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Bugs Bunny is in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but obviously when you had Space Jam 2 with LeBron James, and that didn't do so well because it was just everywhere. This actually did
Yeah.
it perfectly. You know, with the whole
Yeah.
nostalgia,
It
but
was much. It was a good.
it's just for
It was
me,
a good
it's just the
formula. It was a good
storyline was
formula.
just not there.
Goodbye.